What's up everyone, it's Victor, and I'm back with another episode of Know Your Unit. I would like to first thank everyone so much for the positive feedback and the interest that you have in the series. I would love to keep working on it and hopefully deliver quality content to everyone. The unit of our today's episode is featured in many balanced discussions and is one of the most argued, debated unit, the Fallschirmjäger. Right here is the content of this video, and I hope you guys will find some interesting points that can help you in your matches. There will be timestamps in the description box below for your convenience. And without further ado, let's get to it.
Fallschirmjäger at full strength!
Fallschirmjäger is an elite infantry squad of the Oberkommando West faction who can be called in when the players reach 2 command points. As of this current patch, the Winter 2020, there's only one commander in this game that have access to this unit, the Luftwaffe ground force. One notable support ability for Fallschirmjäger is Valiant Assault, which gives them the ability to sprint and make their weapon accuracy 25% better. There's also only one bulletin that supports this unit, which reduced their grenade cost by 5%, so from 35 munition down to 33. Unlike many other call-in units, Fallschirmjäger is delivered to the battlefield through aircraft and parachute at the designated location. Once you select the optimal location, a few green smokes will signal your incoming troop. The aircraft will fly from the direction of your team's base toward the opponents, and will draw Fallschirmjäger squads once it passes your selected location. The call-in ability itself takes 56 seconds to be available again. As a paratrooper unit, they require careful positioning when being deployed, otherwise they will die when coming in contact with the surrounding environment. Next, we will talk about the model stats, starting with the cost. To summon them to the battlefield, the players will have to pay 340 manpower and 9 population cost. Each of their model costs 36 manpower and takes 9.5 seconds to reinforce. This makes them one of the most expensive units in the game to maintain. Despite having lower than average receive accuracy, players may find it hard to keep these guys around for long, due to their low model counts and their behind the line deployment. One thing I would like to mention is that most infantries in the game share the same value for some of these categories, such as health point, armor, vision range, weapon slots, etc. And so I won't be talking about them unless there are exceptions to the case, like the previous video about shock troops, in which I highlighted the 1.5 armor value of the squad. The next part will be all about their weapon stats. When Fallschirmjäger squad is called in, 2 of their models will use Kar 98K and the other 2 will have FG42. The Kar 98K used by this squad has better stats than the ones used by Volksgrenadier and Panzer Fusilier. It has amazing accuracy at all distance, with roughly 80% hit chance at far range and up to 92% at near range. Also, they have much shorter cooldown and aim time, making them more superior compared to most single-fire rifle in the game. You can find most of the statistics for Kar 98K here on the screen, and now I would like to move on to the next part, which I believe most of you come here for, the FG42. Starting with the accuracy, the gun has a very low accuracy drop between far and near range, allowing them to excel at any combat distance. In this short demonstration here, you can see that they can make short work of enemy regardless of the distance. The gun effective range at near, middle, far is 8, 24 and 35 respectively. FG42 deals 8 damage on hit, and with the average burst duration of 1.2 seconds and a rate of fire at 7 bullets per second, the gun can deal about 45 damage at close distance and 24 damage at far range. In theory, this seems like a normal amount of damage, given that we have yet to include moving accuracy, which will drop their accuracy by 40%, cover bonuses, elevations, etc. However, what makes this gun perform so well has to do with Fallschirmjägers themselves, and I will explain why in a short bit. Given all the numbers we see above, one can reasonably expect that a Fallschirmjäger squad equipped with 4 FG42 can kill one model every 3 to 4 seconds at mid-range. It is strongly advised that when fighting against Fallschirmjäger, the players should put their infantries at the best condition, such as heavy cover, fully equipped with weapons, close quarter combat with submachine gun, or number superiority. Next up, let's take a look at their abilities. Fallschirmjäger as an elite unit has a lot of different tools in their arsenal. We'll start with their passive skills. The first passive is Camouflage, which allows them to become invisible when they're in cover. It takes them roughly 4 seconds to go on stealth mode in combat, or 10 seconds if they use one of their offensive abilities. Because of Camouflage, They also have a complementary ability called Hold Fire to ensure that the unit will not engage in combat on sight of the enemy. Unlike Sniper, Fallschirmjäger will break their invisibility on the move, so they cannot hop between covers. Camouflage allows this elite unit to be played tactically, as the players can choose to patiently observe the enemy for important information, throw a surprise bundle grenade, or lure the enemy into a death trap. When fighting against a cunning troop of Fallschirmjäger, it is important that the player practice careful unit control and reconnaissance to ensure that they are not being ambushed. The second passive ability that they have, which goes hand in hand with camouflage, is First Strike bonus. This ability allows them to fire 25% more accurately for 5 seconds when they attack out of their invisibility. The trigger for this ability is that the squad makes the first shot while being unseen. Therefore, if the unit is revealed by an enemy, this ability will not be activated. It is this ability that makes Fallschirmjäger so well synergized with their FG42. The bonus accuracy greatly increased their damage output, and with 4 models, most infantry in this game cannot win a duel against them without using some tricks or larger number of squads. As for their active abilities, we'll start with Bundle Grenade. The ability can deal up to 100 damage to units within a radius of 5. The damage is lethal to any unit within 1.22 range from a center and drop down to 30 near the edge, which is still a substantial amount of damage. Bundle Grenade costs 35 munition to be casted and have a cooldown of 30 seconds and 20 cast range. Unlike Shock Troop's Fragmentation Grenade, the Bundle Grenade only deals a quarter of its damage on friendly fire. The second active ability is Frangible Smoke Grenade, which can be unlocked when Fallschirmjäger reach Vet 1. It is a smoke grenade which deals damage over time and requires 30 munition to be used. It has the same cooldown and cast range as Bundle Grenade. When thrown, it will release smoke and reduce the posture speed of any passing infantry to a crawling pace, including allies. The smoke deals 5 damage per second, but just like Phosphor Smoke in this game, the damage is non-lethal. One thing to note here is that the Frangible Smoke Grenade will also slow retreating unit, and so Fallschirmjäger can combine both of their grenades together to make a devastating combo against a mass retreat. They also used to have another ability called Panzerfaust, which is capable of dealing damage against vehicle and damage the engine under the right condition. However, this ability was removed as of the most current patch on April 9th for balancing purpose. It is now entirely feasible to use vehicle as an effective counter against Fallschirmjäger. With that, we have concluded the ability section, and we shall move on to the last in-game detail of Fallschirmjäger, which is their Veterancy. As an OKW unit, they have 5 Veterancy levels, as opposed to the usual 3 of every other faction's unit. At Vet 1, as I mentioned earlier, they gain access to the Smoke Grenade. At Vet 2, they reduce their receive accuracy by 29%. In combination to the default lower target size, they will become even harder to hit. Their Camouflage ability will also get an upgrade, and allow Fallschirmjäger to be stealthy between covers. Vet 3 further increased their combat capability by giving their guns a 30% increase in accuracy and 20% less waiting time between bursts. At Vet 4, they gain a passive ability to heal out of combat, which can complement the commando style very well. Players can use them to make a quick ambush and then hide them to heal up for the next combat. And finally, at Veterancy 5, their First Strike accuracy bonus increased to 50%. Combining Valiant Assault, Fallschirmjäger is one of the few squads in the game to be able to fire with virtually 100% accuracy, making them a deadly opponent. With all of the accuracy bonus activated, they only need a few seconds to wipe an enemy squad from existence. In conclusion, Fallschirmjäger is a very powerful elite infantry unit with almost unrivaled firepower and offensive capability. Even with the removal of Panzerfaust, they are still a menace on the battlefield that require high caution to play against. To counter Fallschirmjäger, players can use some tricks such as predicting their drop point to kill them on deployment, or use light tanks such as the Stewart T-70 to fight them head-on. Rocket launchers such as Katyusha and land marches can also be a great tool to use against them, especially with their very high reinforcement cost. And that's it everyone. I hope you guys find this video informative for both those who use them and who have to deal with them, and I shall pass the next part about historical background to Greyshot. Enjoy folks!
Hello everyone, this is Greyshot151 and I'm here to go over the history of the Fallschirmjäger. Just a reminder, this is not a comprehensive guide to the unit or the back, all the major events they took place in, more of a rapid fire analysis of the German Airborne, covering the troops' formation, their gear, their use, and their overall impact in the war. So training started in 1936 for these troops, and their official formation was in 1938 under the 1st Parachute Division. Many more divisions were created, but they lacked the training and equipment of this original harbinger of the Fallschirmjäger, and they increasingly got worse and worse and worse as Germany entered the later stages of the war. Essentially, being Fallschirmjäger turned into a unit name and not really a role. Their appearance, while having specialized helmets and boots, offered no real advantage compared to their other German units. The clothing was more so specialized for drops than combat, which translated to like wearing padding for their drop or having quick access to a knife. So these men were deployed on a variety of aircraft that ranged from the DFS-230 or the GO-242 gliders that would be pulled behind a larger transport plane, such as the Ju-52 Junker transports, who in turn could deploy the troops themselves. You would rather want to be on the glider comparatively, as the parachute itself could be deadly for a Fallschirmjäger if you hit the ground wrong. Troops that did go by themselves would have to perform a roll forward, or else they would pretty much have a very large chance of suffering substantial injuries. This landing caused the Germans to pack light with mostly pistols and grenades, and then conduct a dash for a nearby weapon drop to become fully equipped. These containers could hold up to 200 to 260 pounds and could supply a few dozen men, so they could pack a lot and drop it nearby. Again, the problem was getting to these supply drops. But the weapons inside were very impactful. For instance, you could see an MP38, a 40, a 44, an MG34 or 42, a 28mm or 42mm AT guns, or even a 75mm artillery gun. And the most infamous weapon had to be the FG42. It was a semi-automatic rifle that was only made for the Fallschirmjägers, with roughly about 10,000 being made throughout the entirety of the war. It weighed roughly 10 pounds and had a 20-round magazine, firing 7.92mm rounds. The round itself led to issues with firing that even a bipod couldn't fix entirely. Could you imagine the recoil? Now, Germany had a certain reputation for its airborne troops. At first, they were largely successful, taking airfields in Norway. They struck at the largest fort in Belgium and took it with ease. They attacked the bridges in Greece and allowed troops to maneuver past. So each of these successes were substantial in allowing the Germans to continue their advances or by cutting off Allied forces. That is before a certain Greek island, but I'll get to that in a sec. The first disappointment came in Norway, where a group of Fallschirmjäger were actually cut off and surrounded by Norwegian troops. Being lightly armed, they couldn't break through enemy lines and eventually surrendered. The second, and the far more infamous case, came with Crete. So Fallschirmjäger were deployed to take the Greek island, and while successful, the victory came at the cost of thousands of casualties for the German airborne units. This, and more importantly, the razor-thin margin of the victory on the island, basically canceled any future major operations with them, specifically landings in Cyprus and Malta. Now that being said, Germans still used Fallschirmjägers in airborne operations, but just with less frequency and more so like a specialized light infantry force that participated in battles around like Stalingrad, Leningrad in the Soviet Union, and during the defense of Brest in France. Other major operations they were used for would be like the invasion of Italy, when Italy switched sides to capture and hold territory without the destruction of infrastructure, as well as the elimination of other high-value political leaders. The last major use of these specialized forces came in the Ardennes, with 1,000 men being dropped. But at this point, the skies were so contested they would need to deploy during a winter storm, which led to inexperienced pilots dropping men 50 miles from their designated landing point. And the inexperienced men that they did drop didn't really contribute much to the overall success of the Battle of the Bulge as we know today. So in the end, the death of the Fallschirmjäger can't be attributed to the men that fought in this unit, but more so a lack of surprise, thanks in part to Allied decrypting German and knowing of the attacks, the need for specialized training that became less frequent as time progressed, and the issue of increasing air superiority. Couple this with equipment and other shortages, and it really showcases why the Fallschirmjäger decreased in their success over time through the war. All that being said, the Allies did take notes from the Fallschirmjäger's successes, which led to better defenses on their end throughout the war, and the development of their own airborne troops that we may be covering in the very near future. But in any case, guys, that is the history of the Fallschirmjäger. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you next time with another video. Until then, later.
Hello everyone, this is Greyshot. Before you guys go, I want to give a special shout out to Patreon supporters Milam, Joey, G240, Anton, Bishara, Ion, Pyro Shark, Ace, Jakub, Ocwieja. Thank you guys so much for your amazing support. You guys rock. This has been Greyshot17 and his amazing patrons, and I'll see all of you next time.